Once again, this be the realest shit you heard in your life.
Welcome to the Realest Show You Know, the no-fluff podcast that pulls back the curtain on the real estate industry.
Hello, everyone. It's Kris Diaz, and this is the latest episode of the Realest Show You Know. In today's topic, we're going to have a real estate attorney roundtable, and I have two great guests with me today. I have Diana Diaz, no relation, although we have the same last name, and I have Derek Rolo with me. And give a quick intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Diana.
Sure. Like Kris said, Diana Diaz. We have an office in Goshen, New York. We have a second location in Rockland County. We do primarily real estate, 50% of our business, but we also do probate, estate planning, and guardianship work.
Excellent.
So that's us.
Excellent. And Derek.
Derek Rolo, also a real estate attorney. That's about a third of our business as well. We also do personal injury and we do probate as well. We have office in Middletown, New York, and we practice all throughout the Hudson Valley, New York.
So as you guys know, the Realest Show You Know is about pulling back the curtains and giving you an inside look of the real estate industry. So Diana, can you walk us through the role of a real estate attorney in a typical transaction?
We do everything.
No. You know what? I have other real estate professionals that might disagree with you, but yes, you guys do a lot.
No, so we negotiate the contracts, we review title, we look at your municipal searches, we look at your surveys, we make sure we protect you. That's our job, right? Our job is to make sure, because buying real estate is emotional for people, and we have to. We don't get emotional about it, right? It's a business purchase you're making, and we want to make sure that it's a good investment, right? We don't care how pretty it is.
Yep.
So
right? I like the fact that you can you could step back, right? Because as you mentioned, this is typically the largest financial transaction in the lives of most people purchasing a property or a home or whatnot. And yeah, it gets emotional for them. And, and sometimes they let emotions get in the way. And the fact that you're there to protect their interest and you can keep a cool head and
that's our job.
That's great.
Yeah, we're 90% therapist. That's part of our job.
There you go.
Cool. I like that. That. Yeah. Anything you want to expand on what she said, or that's pretty much it in a nutshell?
That's pretty much it. And like she said, it's very emotional for a lot of people. It's the biggest financial decision in their lives. And we have a contract.
Yeah.
And the contract, as I explained to people, it covers 90% of the problems that you're ever going to have. But it's really helpful to have a lawyer there to explain. Explain what the contract says. And explain really that the contract's rooted in common sense and fairness. I always tell people, whenever something pops up, this isn't the first time we've seen it. The contract addresses it and how it addresses it. Why? So I find that's part of our job too.
Cool. What do you think are the most common legal issues that arise during a home purchase?
During the home purchase? Yeah. Certainly title issues. That's it.
We'll talk about title, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of, it's just disputes. Anytime a buyer wants any type of repair items, that's always a nightmare. It's always a problem. I've been advising people, do not have the seller repair anything. Just take a credit. Yeah. Take some money instead. You're never going to be happy with the seller's work on a house. You're never going to be happy with it because they're trying to sell the house for as much money as possible and put as little into it. So I always see a lot of problems whenever the seller's doing repairs.
Yep.
A lot of it.
Cool. Hey, Diana, at what stage of the process should a buyer or seller get an attorney involved?
As soon as they have a purchase offer, right? Like I have a lot of people that'll say to me, oh, we're going to wait to inspections. We're going to, after inspections and after we negotiate. I'm like, you might want to get us involved earlier, right? Because I want to look at that inspection report.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to give you advice and say, well, maybe, right? And again, that emotional thing. People are looking at, oh, the inside, the dining room is so pretty. I'm like, okay. But, there's issues, right? And I had one person say to me, I don't care that there's structural issues. It's fine. No, you do care, right?
Yep.
And so I think as soon as possible in the transaction, right, we should be involved.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so talking contracts, what should buyers pay special attention to in a purchase contract?
Mortgage contingency. Definitely, if they're getting a mortgage, they have to look at the mortgage contingency. It's a the limited period of time for them to get out of the deal if they cannot qualify for a mortgage. And once that contingency period is met, the seller has the right to back out. You know, so they want to be careful. They want to make sure how many days they have to get a mortgage, because once that contingency is up, seller can terminate the deal.
So I know you're both well-respected real estate attorneys, and we're just talking buyers right now. I've never seen a contract without a mortgage contingency. You guys seen?
Yeah.
Cash
Seen
deals.
Well, cash deals. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's no
cash
mortgage, yeah.
deals. They'll
But-
put them in there.
During COVID, there were a lot of contracts without mortgage contingencies, right?
Really?
Even though they were taken out of mortgages, said it's not contingent on a mortgage because they were trying to be more competitive in a market that was insane.
Yeah.
But today, no. If they need a mortgage, there's a mortgage contingency.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, as a loan officer, I've always seen them. I guess cash deals, yes.
What I'm seeing now is a lot of people putting in cash offers, but they're going out to still apply for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
In those type of deals, I don't see a mortgage contingency, you know, because they're going to pay in cash if the mortgage falls through.
I've seen that many times, right? Well, not so much now, but before, when it was an even tighter, more competitive market, you know, folks would be like, yeah, we're going to buy you cash, you know, and yeah, here's our proof of funds. But at the same time, they're like, no, we don't want to use those funds. We're going to go for a mortgage, right? So, well, are there any other common contingencies that you see in a contract other than a mortgage contingency?
I see two other types. The big one is an appraisal contingency.
Okay.
If the property doesn't appraise to the purchase price, a lot of times the buyer wants the ability to either renegotiate the price or to get out of the deal. And the reason is because if the house isn't worth what they're buying it for, they can't borrow as much money. So they have a financing issue. The other common contingency I see is a buyer finds a house of their dreams. They need to sign the contract right away, but they haven't done a home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to rush the process, sign the contract, we always suggest doing an inspection. So really, those are the two types of contingencies I see a lot.
Okay. And what about yourself? Do you see the same too, or
Same too. We put a third into our contracts, and we put a funding contingency, right?
Okay.
Because not all commitment letters are equal, right? You can get a commitment letter and you satisfy the commitment contingency, but something happens between that and closing that the bank is not going to fund.
Mm-hmm.
By virtue of getting that commitment letter, you're done. If you don't close, you can lose your deposit. So we put an actual funding contingency. If the bank doesn't fund, as long as it's not the buyer's default, you get your deposit back.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's do you get a lot of kickback from the seller's attorney?
We used to, but now I see that the seller's attorneys are using it.
We're putting in our contracts.
Yeah,
that's why.
now they're putting it in their contracts. And listen, it's just what Derek said initially, right? It's just fairness. It's fair.
Yeah.
Right? If you did everything you were supposed to do to get the mortgage and you got a commitment, but one of those conditions you just can't meet for some reason outside of your control, did you lose your deposit? It's not fair. It's not equitable. So that's what that does. It just makes it equitable.
Sellers don't think it's fair until I remind them, you're going to be a buyer.
Right.
You're going to be a buyer also.
Right.
This is going to be very fair for you in the next deal where you're
Right.
buying a property.
Yeah.
No, it's very fair.
Right.
Very fair.
Cool. So we talked about contingencies, but a question that typically comes up is how binding is a signed offer? Can a buyer or seller back out?
On the purchase offer phase,
Yeah.
they
And
actually
when?
can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. New York follows most laws, most other states, which is the statute of frauds. Believe it or not, real estate deals, for a real estate transaction to be binding, you need to have a signed contract and consideration, which means money has to transfer hands.
Mhm.
Purchase offer stage, people are just signing a contract. No money has actually transferred hands.
Until you have that EMD, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
your
it's-
earnest money deposit.
Right.
Purchase offer is not a binding contract. And I always explain that to people because then they go off, they do their home inspection, and the deal falls through. They're no fault of their own. Maybe the seller wants to sell to somebody else and they want their money back for the home inspection. I said, dude, there was no contract. This is the cost of doing business. You can't force anything. So until you have a signed contract and deposit, not a binding contract.
Got it. A question that typically comes to me a lot, right? And it's when, we send out our initial disclosures, right? Your loan estimate, your LE, it goes out and they see all the title costs. And buyers are like, what is this?
Right.
Do I need title insurance? So why is title insurance important? And tell us a little bit about what it does.
Well, it's important because the bank is not going to give you a loan without it. So if
Well,
you want the money, you want the insurance.
That's true.
Right?
Yep.
But even for cash buyers, I tell them, I won't my office, I'm I'm not representing somebody who doesn't want to take title. I just won't do it because it opens them to too much liability. If there's some cloud on title from 20 years ago that we don't know about, and then who they're going to come to? They're going to come to me, right, and say you should have known this. So it's important because it detects defects in the past, right? Not for future defects, but past defects that we're not going to know about, right? And it protects you for those past defects. And it makes sellers do things that maybe they wouldn't have done because we don't know about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's so important. And we'll have cash buyers who are like, I don't want title, I don't want appraisal, I don't want anything. I'm like, I'm the wrong person for I'm not doing it.
They're buying a house for $250,000 in cash, and they don't want to spend $1,200 on a title insurance.
Right.
It's the least thing.
Yeah, or spend $800 on a survey, right? Which is insane to me. But
well, we'll talk about surveys soon too. I have a little different perspective, but this is where I'll rely on you guys to convince me on the importance of a survey. So, Derek, what kind of title issues do you see most often?
The most common I see, it's open mortgages. So when you buy a property, you're at the closing, the seller's supposed to pay off all their mortgages.
Yeah.
So sometimes you go to sell that property and you find out those mortgages that were supposed to be paid at your closing, they still show up as open. Sometimes what happens is title companies do pay those mortgages, but the bank doesn't properly satisfy them with the county. So they still show up as open. And it's scary. It's a gut punch for some people.
Yeah.
The easy way to solve it, obviously, is like Diana said, have title insurance. You just show that policy to the next buyer, takes care of everything. It's probably the most common issue.
I've seen that happen, and sometimes they can be difficult to satisfy, right? It's a bank from many years ago that is no longer around, might have gotten absorbed by another bank, and, the new bank's like, hey, we have no records of this bank that we purchased. We have no, and nobody has records, and it takes forever to try to get those satisfied. It's especially when, the seller has been living in that home for forever. Maybe they inherited the property and, those are pain in the butt issues.
Stuff of nightmares.
Yeah. Can you guys explain what a lien is and how it impacts the home sale? On the same note.
Yeah. Well, it's a hold on your property, right? It's almost like a promissory note that says you owe this amount of money and you need to satisfy it before you sell, right? That's what the old mortgages on record are when they're not cured, right? They're a lien on your property, and now you have to go satisfy them. So
what liens are you guys seeing other than, a lender, a past lender who might have a mortgage claims?
Yeah, America is weird, but someone sues you, like your credit card company, and they get a judgment against you. That judgment actually attaches to you and also any property you own for a period of 10 years. So if you have a credit card claim or debt or judgment, it's actually like a lien on your house. Right. And I've gotten into so many fights with sellers who say, that has nothing to do with my sale. I'm like, dude, yes, it does. Yeah. How do you think creditors get paid? Otherwise, judgments are worth nothing. It's a lien on your house, a judgment.
On all your property.
All your property,
Yeah.
And so a lot of them we'll see is like mechanics liens for work that was done and not paid, right?
Yeah.
Tax liens.
Tax liens.
Big one, right?
The government is definitely getting their money, and those don't get cleared up until they get paid. Yeah.
And also, right, it's similar to a lien. It's all these violations, right? All these fees for this unpermitted work and all this stuff that people do, right? People don't realize that if you have a 2-family house in Orange County, there's certain counties that you have to get a rental permit, right? To rent that house. And people don't know, we rented it 10 years ago. And the rental permit was $100 and you didn't get it. And now you have a fee every month that you didn't have. It's insane, right?
What's the most difficult lien that you've guys seen? Is it like, I'm just thinking out of the box, like alimony payments, child support payments that might result in a judgment? What are some of the crazy liens that you guys are seeing?
The crazy, I would definitely say credit card judgments just throw a wrinkle in every deal. Because when people are going to sell a house, they're doing math in their heads. All right, I'm selling for $400,000. Right. I have $350,000 left on my mortgage. I had to pay my realtors $30,000. They have it down to the penny.
Yeah.
And then they get the title report, and oh crap, they forgot. They owe $20,000 in Capital One charges. It throws an entire wrinkle in the whole deal. That's the most common I haven't seen too many child support liens lately.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that either.
Okay. No, I'm just.
Federal tax liens are just sometimes hard to satisfy, right?
Are
And
they?
if you can't get an up-to-date number,
Mhm.
title company's going to want to hold double the amount, and that could be a significant amount, right? So those are just a little harder to get, but
That just brought up a further question for down the line. It's escrow holdbacks. You know, and yeah, we'll kind of get into that as well.
hate them.
I know. You know, as a loan officer myself, I'm thinking like, let's just get the deal closed.
Right.
You know, hold back whatever you need to hold back. And, you know, obviously sellers are like, no, hell no. I want my money. Like we close on the deal, but all right, cool. What are some examples of disputes that you guys have handled between buyers and sellers? Anything stand out?
God, Eddie.
so many.
I'm
So
sure
many.
I'm sure there are tons.
I'm getting
but
goosebumps, man,
I know.
from the stories.
yeah.
You know what's funny? I think it depends how the transaction went, right?
Uh-huh.
If everybody got along and then you don't see too many, people are like, oh, you didn't do that. That's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But if it was a difficult transaction, people are arguing about everything. You took the $10 shade from the window. I want a $2,000 credit, right? Crazy things. People argue about crazy, but it's all. You can tell how the transaction went by what they're arguing about.
You know, it's funny. I'm going to tell just a little brief personal story of the house where I'm living now. When I purchased it, you know, when we did inspection, there was a tree on the side of the house with huge branches that were hanging over the roof, and that was part of the deal. Was like, hey, you guys got to get rid of it, and so we're, you know, they kept saying, yeah, we're going to do it. Closing time comes, and it's still there, and that held it up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Inspection the day before, final walkthrough. Saw it. Guy cut the branches and then just left the branches, everything like all over the yard, left a mess for me. I'm like, what is this? And yeah, you know, it didn't make a pretty closing,
Right.
you know, at that time, because it's like, hey, you know, that was your responsibility.
Right.
Like we agreed on this.
Yeah.
Why didn't you follow through?
You're emptying your like life savings account for this deal.
Yeah.
And you're getting like a giant dumpster fire at the end. It's not fun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Important question. What legal red flags should buyers or sellers watch out for in a deal?
I don't know. I think for me, whenever I see an estate sale or a trust sale, there's a lot of questions, right? Because you want to see the trust to see. They might need approval before they sell the property. Same thing with an estate. Somebody says, oh, I got letters testamentary and I can sell this property, but the order says you need court approval to sell the property. So that's another order to show cause going on the calendar. So whenever there's those types, it requires a little more due diligence.
Yeah. And those take a while
longer
to
time.
close. Yeah.
I'm seeing it. I do a lot of foreclosure purchases. People are buying properties at courthouse steps. Auction properties. Those properties went to foreclosure for a reason. People owed a lot of money.
Right.
People owed a lot of money. I had this one poor family. I'm not going to say their names. They bought a property at a tax sale, not for a lot of money. I think like $17,000 down the road from their kid's house. And sure enough, didn't work out. They want to sell it. They can't because the county, when they took the property, they didn't properly serve the heirs of an estate. And now these poor people who bought this property for $16,000, $17,000, they must have spent at least $20,000 now in legal fees trying to quiet title. You know, so buying anything at the courthouse steps, auction properties, these people went to foreclosure for a reason. There are always red flags there.
Cool. Talking about FSBOs, for sale by owners, what are situations that they need to look out for? And let me preface this by saying, you know, most for sale by owners are folks who are thinking like, I don't need a real estate agent. Like they do nothing. I don't need this. I don't need that. I can market this house. I could sell. I could do just as good job myself, you know, and it's like, well, you know, I think the value of a real estate agent is playing quarterback, where they can put you in touch with good real estate attorneys. And it's like, great, you know, you think you could handle most of it yourself, but, you know, not really. You still need there's a legal contract.
Right.
There's issues that need to be resolved. you need someone in your corner. So what are some of the situations that they may face where they need to protect themselves?
Well, I agree with you, Kris, right? The seller needs a real estate agent, right? They're the ones negotiating all those credits, all those repairs, all of that stuff, right there. And things that you may not know as a seller, right? The scarier one is I had one where it was a for sale by owner who said, I don't need an attorney. Send me a contract. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, one of those things I will not do.
Yes.
Right? Do you have a right to do that? You do. You don't have to get an attorney, right? Do it yourself if you want to. I'm not going to be on the other side of that litigation, right? Because, if it ever comes down to it, I'm losing that. So,
You definitely need a realtor. I mean, the great fiction is I'm saving money on a commission. Chances are you're actually getting less than what you probably could if you were using a realtor.
Yeah.
And you're also losing, the advice and counsel of a realtor who's going to put you in touch with the right team. And then if you don't use a realtor, sometimes I'm finding these for sale by owner clients, they're relying then on the attorney to do the realtor's job. And you don't want an attorney doing the realtor's job. You probably have a caseload of 100 cases. You don't need, you can't do a realtor's job. It's very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, your job really isn't to negotiate sales price or determine the value of the home or whatnot. Well, closing table. Help prepare the audience who, is going through a real estate transaction, what they can expect at the closing table.
Well, there's a lot of papers to sign.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's a lot of papers to sign, none of which you can change, right? I tell this to my clients all the time who want me to read every line for them. I'm happy to do it. It's not necessary. You can't change it. As attorneys, we make sure that the material things are correct, right? When the bank has you sign 3, correction agreements, we sign 3 correction agreements, right? But I think it's what happens before that's more important, right? That's a signing party, the closing. Sign, get your home, be happy. The day before the closing, I sit down, I go over all the numbers. I tell you what you can expect at closing. I tell you which documents are going to be important, which documents are not. You've been to my closings. I don't do a lot of, I can sign a package in 20 minutes because I'm not doing that. If you have questions, I'm going to do it the day before.
That's the wrong time to do it.
Right. I don't want to take the other attorney's time, everybody's time, explaining to you 10 pages of what the mortgage says. I'll explain it to you before.
Yeah. If the closing's a mess, your attorney didn't do their job beforehand.
Right.
That's
exactly.
it. A lot of people, they want to see a little show by the lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
If we're arguing at the closing, if we're fiddling around with documents, we don't know numbers, we didn't do our job beforehand.
Right.
Yeah. Closing is a culmination of the deal. It's getting the check at the restaurant, getting out after dessert.
That's it. Right.
And going right into the house. That's it. If it's a long, drawn out process, you didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. So a good closing is one that's uneventful.
Right.
No arguing going on.
Excellent.
The attorneys are cracking a couple jokes.
Everybody's happy.
That's it.
Everybody's happy at the table. Everybody should be happy at the table.
Yeah.
I had a closing recently where the attorney goes, "Oh, can I see your adjustments?" I said, "I sent them to you 2 weeks ago." He hadn't looked at the adjustments for his clients till at the table. Like,
they're already stressed out at the table. And then they see this and they're like, what the hell's going on?
But then what do they do? What you said, right? They start bolstering. Oh, well, you should have sent it 3 weeks ago, right? Because now they want to cover up,
incompetence.
Right.
Yeah.
So other than using your expertise, right, how do you ensure everything is legally compliant during a transaction?
Title search. Title search. That's it, man.
That title plays a big role, huh?
Dude, they're the unsung heroes of these deals. That's right. They get yelled at by everyone.
Yeah. Attorneys, everyone. Yep.
Yeah. And after the closing, they get yelled at by us if they didn't do their job. They prepare these really thick reports that nobody could read unless you're like a 17th century, scribe. We have to read them. So long as we go through the title report, we make sure everything's satisfied. The title is the most important part of the whole deal. Really it.
And it's reviewing it, right? Actually looking at it.
Yeah.
There's so many closings where I'll send something. I always send the summary and I say, this is what the title says that you as seller have to do. And they're like, oh, I didn't see that. Well, you got the same report I got. So why didn't you see it? Right.
And honestly, I look at my role in the transaction and, even a real estate agent and everybody else, everybody's on the attorney. to review title.
Right.
Because so many times I hear it's like, well, you had the title report. I'm like, I'm not reading the title report. Like, that's not my job. My job is, so yeah, everybody relies on you guys. And all right, try not to laugh when I ask the next question. Have you ever had to delay or cancel a closing due to legal issues, and what happened? I'm sure it's happened, not often, but I'm sure it has happened.
A lot.
All the time.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I said try not to laugh, all right?
All the time.
Oh my God, yeah.
Everything, there's always, I'm not saying it's honestly, it's a lot of time. It's not your fault, right?
No, it's never our fault.
It's always my fault, but
I was supposed to have a closing earlier this week, and everyone's ready to close. Lender said we're clear to close. I'm like, great, okay, great. I'm looking at the title report. There's no CO for the property. It was built 2 years ago. Yeah, we had to delay the closing to get a CO, for certificate of occupancy and everything else. So stuff happens all the time outside of our control. Job of a good attorney is to put the brakes on everything. Right. When everyone else is rushing to the closing table, buyers trying to liquidate their bank accounts, we're there to say, whoa, let's make sure this is done right. It's going to be your headache to deal with afterwards if it's.
Yeah, and everybody is. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody has a vested interest in the transaction, whether it be the seller, the buyer, the lender, the real estate agents, listing, buyer agent. Everybody has a vested interest in getting the transaction done. And sometimes everybody just get it done. Just get it done, get it done. And that's where you guys come in and, you're the protector of your clients. Right. Whether it be the seller or the buyer, your job is to protect their best interests.
Well, I'll tell you also a funny story. We had an issue with a C of O in a closing when we got the C of O, because we get that later, right? When we got it, it said on the bottom, this house not suitable for residential purposes. I called the other attorney. I'm like, we can't close. This is what it says. He goes, oh, your contract only says you get a survey, right? You get a C of O. It doesn't say in what condition. Pardon my French, but he heard some words after that, right? Yeah. And so now in our contracts, we have another contingency that's a survey contingency, right? Mm-hmm. And it specifically says that if there's anything that makes the house unsuitable for its purposes.
I'm glad you're speaking about surveys. I'll tell my own personal story later on about surveys, but I'm glad that you're telling.
This was the C of O, right? This was the C of O that said it.
Yeah.
And other attorneys will make an argument that I gave you a C of O.
Was he a real estate attorney, this guy?
I don't know what he was, but he was special. He was that.
That's the biggest problem, having non-real estate attorneys do real estate.
That's the other thing, right? And I say this to people all the time. I'll get somebody who says, oh, my uncle's an attorney in Maryland and he's going to, and I'm like, right? Don't do that, right? There's different rules. There's different things. You don't
want a real estate attorney, defending you on a murder trial.
Right, exactly. Listen, my daughter recently sold her house in Boston. She said, can you represent me? I said, absolutely not. I don't know how they work. I'm not going to hinder your sale because I don't know how they work. So, yeah.
So on that note, what's one legal mistake you see far too often?
By lawyers?
Just... well, it doesn't necessarily have to be by attorneys. It just a mistake. Well, whether you're a buyer, you're a seller, and it could be, it could be something that maybe their attorney missed, and it's just.
I see a lot of attorneys who they don't read the title report and they don't read the municipal report before the closing. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's mostly the buyer's attorney that gets screwed on that because then after the closing, those open permits are the buyer's responsibility.
They are.
And their clients don't read the municipal report. Their clients don't know if there's a violation. Sellers will be quiet about the violations. Their attorney will be quiet about it. Yes.
And once you order a municipal report, it opens up that can of worms with the municipalities.
Yeah. Right.
And they're like, oh, yeah, there are violations on that property. Let's go pay them a visit and stuff. Cool.
One mistake I see attorneys do, it's just, I think it's something they just overlook. It's important to let the seller's attorney know if it's a VA loan or FHA loan, because there's a difference, right?
There are.
FHA and VAs requires different repairs in order to fund those loans.
Similar, but yes, there are differences.
There's differences. Yes. And when you don't tell that attorney that that's the kind of loan they're taking, they're not required to make certain repairs, right? Yeah. So I think That's something that people don't pay enough attention to.
What advice would you give to our audience out there that might be first-time home buyers? What's like the number one advice?
Number one advice, and I don't know if I should touch this soon because I think you said you were going to ask some questions about, but definitely do a survey. And okay, good question. When is this going to air?
This will air in right now. No.
Okay.
We're live. It's going to be airing, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe.
All right. So
July of 2025.
all right. Okay. So going back here, I'm in the process of selling my own house. I'm selling my own house. I say do a property survey because since I bought my house, I've expanded the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I put up a shed. I put up a little fence, and I don't know where I put it. I don't know if it's on my side of the boundary line or the neighbors. And I'm a lawyer,
Right.
So after the closing, if the buyer did not do a survey, any boundary line disputes with neighbors, that's their problem to deal with. If you do a survey before the closing, the seller has to fix it. They got to let you out of the deal.
Right.
And New York has something called adverse possession, which is if somebody puts a structure on someone else's property, and I'm simplifying it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up there for at least 10 years, no one objects to it, they treat it like it's their property, they can make a claim for that land.
Yep.
They can make a claim that that's their property. So do a survey.
I owned a piece of property years ago that it was my neighbor's fence, was like 1.5 feet on my property, and I knew it, but I knew my neighbor. And we're friends, we're good. Like I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to make you tear down your fence, over it. But I'm like, attorneys are like, yeah, you should get that rectified, But I'm like,
You might sell the house, and the next buyer might have an issue with it. That's it. Yeah, you guys might be cool, you and the neighbors, but the next buyer, maybe not so much. So take care of it.
Excellent.
Yeah. My advice would be don't be emotional about the purchase. People often buy things they either cannot afford because they walk into this house and fall in love. They forget this is a 30-year commitment, right? And make sure that this house is good for you, not just today, but 5 years from now. You have a growing family, you have different things. And it shouldn't be an emotional purchase, right? So many times people focus on the interior. It's so pretty, it's so this, right? It has to be a sound investment first. You can make it look like whatever you want after. It has to be a sound investment.
I'm going to go get into my survey question now because you brought it up. Right. And I feel horrible now as a result. So I'm working with a client. The client he's in a desperate situation where he has to move, right? He's in a tiny little apartment. His wife just had a baby. They have another kid. They're like, I live in a small closet space right now. Like I'm putting pressures on me. I have to move. I have to close this deal. I have to move. I have to move. I have to move. His attorney was like, we're clear to close. We're ready. The lender says we're clear to close. We're ready to close. And his attorney all of a sudden, says, can't close. I have a survey. A survey is expected, in 3 more weeks. 2 or 3 more weeks is when we'll have the result of that survey. And I have the buyers like, absolutely not. I told my attorney, I don't care about a survey. I need to close now. And I'm asking the attorney, can we close? And it's absolutely not. I will never allow any of my clients to close without a survey. What are yours? And, I'm like, okay, well, obviously everybody has a vested interest, and we're like, clear. We hear the words clear to close.
We're ready to go.
We want to close, right? Whether you're a loan officer, you're a real estate agent, everybody was ready to close. We did our job. We got you to this step. Let's get this deal done. I already know your thoughts now. But tell me, and good news is survey. And my thought is if you wanted a survey, you could have ordered the friggin' survey.
Okay.
You could have ordered the damn survey weeks ago. It doesn't take that long to get a survey. Why are we waiting now and for a friggin' survey? Tells me that you never ordered the survey. Buyer's telling me, I told my attorney, I don't care about a damn survey. What the hell why the hell do I have to wait for a survey now? Now I know your thoughts.
Yeah.
And there's a good rationale, but I'll let you guys talk about it.
I had a great boss when I was a county attorney.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I told them, oh my God, I warned the client, they shouldn't do this. And the client still did this. And my boss said, then Derek, what are you worried about? Your job is to give them counsel and advice, not to tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So with the survey question here, the job of the lawyer is to tell them the consequences. If the client needs to close because they're in a living situation, the lawyer should not interject. That's my personal opinion. A lot of lawyers, they over-lawyer, they start injecting themselves into the deal. Our job, in my opinion, is to counsel the client, advise them of the warnings, advise them what could happen. That's it, but not interject. That's my personal opinion. But reasonable minds differ. Different attorney, Diana might have a different opinion on that.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I've seen attorneys just make their clients sign something saying, "Hey,
I have a waiver."
I was advised this. I chose to ignore, my counsel's advice,
right.
and
So I agree with Derek 100%. We give the advice. We don't tell them what they cannot do. I think that's overstepping, right?
Yeah.
And if I think they need a survey and they think they don't, or they agreed to order one and now it's not in, I have them sign a waiver. I gave you this advice, you opted out of it, and let's go close, right? It's not my job to tell them not to do something.
Cool.
But they should have it. I'm just going to throw that in there.
I feel badly now. I'm like, I've been educated.
Well, no, I'd be irritated if I were you too. Your client wants to close, but this attorney is just putting up their hand saying no. Again, advise and counsel, but not stop a deal.
Right.
Listen, like I said, in most cases, everybody has a vested interest in getting the deal to close. Buyers are eager to close. Sellers, for the most part, are eager to close. Their real estate agents are eager to close. Loan officers are eager to close. Everybody. And I love the fact that we still have attorneys that can, say, pause. Not everything is ready to go. And my job is, again, everybody's thinking emotionally. And you guys are able to think logically, protect their interests. So my next question, I'm going to expand on it. But so originally it's like, how can real estate agents and attorneys work more effectively together? I'm going to expand on it. How can attorneys, real estate agents, their loan officers, and everybody else in the transaction work more effectively together?
For my office, we work really closely with our agents. We are on the phone. I'm sure you are 24 hours a day, texting, calling. If an issue comes up, I call the agent and I discuss it with the agent before I even call the other attorney. I want to know what the agent knows, right? Because they're on the ground. Yeah. I'm in an office. And so before I make that phone call, I talk to them. But I have seen there's other attorney, Derek's not one of them, just putting that out there. Yeah, okay. But there's other attorney offices that attorney never gets on the phone with me.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to a paralegal through the entire transaction. Even when monumental stuff is going wrong, the attorney won't get on the phone. Yeah. And I'm like losing my mind. So to me, it's communication with everybody, right? And especially the agents. But I know attorneys' offices that don't want to talk to agents. They don't want to talk to them. Yeah, no, they tell their staff. Don't answer that agent. They just have to wait.
They don't realize that the agent's making our lives easier. They're trying to make our lives easier. Yeah, they're trying to communicate with us.
And not only that, but the way I feel is we're partners.
Right.
Like everybody is a partner in a transaction.
Right.
And right or wrong too, I don't feel it's never in the best interest to throw a partner under the bus.
Right.
So whether it be a real estate attorney, a real estate agent, or whatever it is, I think we're all partners in getting the job done, and communication is key, right? Which you pointed out.
It's funny. I'll tell you a quick story. It's why it's important. I had a client, and when the inspection came back, the house was like 80% mold filled, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell him to buy that house,
Yeah.
right? I had to tell him, don't buy this house,
Yeah.
right? And before I told him that, I called the agent that referred and said, listen, I have to tell him this.
Yeah.
It's my fiduciary duty to tell
Yeah.
him this. I said, but I want you to know that I'm going to, and she agreed. She said, no, you're right. But thank you for calling me, because how terrible would it have been that she referred somebody to me and then they called her and said, I'm not buying the house. The attorney told me not to,
Yeah.
right? She had to understand why. And then he found another house and he was happy. No mode.
All right.
You can watch it talking to him.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
look at
understand
that.
that.
I didn't understand that. All right. I'm going to combine a couple of last questions together. What's the craziest legal situation that you've ever encountered in a real estate deal? Have you ever saved a deal that looked completely dead, and how?
I've been saving this story, so I'm going to go first.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
I had a client, day of the walkthrough, they go do the walkthrough.
Yeah.
The house is inundated with water from the basement to the second level. I'm talking about like a swimming pool, right? And so obviously they're not closing. And so they come to my office devastated. They wanted this house. I said, you know what? I get it. You're not going to close today. But the house needed a lot of work and they were buying it to do the work. I said, the seller now has to renovate. It's a great time for you to not get this house.
Renegotiate.
Right.
And
What did they do? 8 months later, they closed on the house because we renegotiated with the
Nice.
seller. And because we said to the seller, now when you fill out your property condition disclosure, you have to say this house was underwater, right? You have to disclose all this stuff. They already know. They know. And they're still willing to take it. They just closed last week.
You brought up an excellent term, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is the property disclosure, property condition disclosure. Yeah, we're not going to touch on that. But it needs to be signed now.
Right.
Yeah.
Where basically sellers have to disclose things that they know are wrong with the property. Before,
Right.
they just gave a credit. Here's a little credit.
You know, Derek and I are looking at each other, right? Because do they disclose?
They don't disclose
They write
everything. We know
unknown.
they don't disclose
Right.
everything. It's like a piece of paper. I'd rather get the $500 credit.
Well, again, it's what can you prove? How can you prove that they knew
Right.
about something? They
Right.
could always.
You're going to really litigate after a closing and spend tens of thousands of
Right.
dollars proving that they lied to you? You
Right.
got to
Yeah.
prove mental intent. It's not
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Not easy. My craziest, well, I have a lot of crazy ones. I get goosebumps thinking about it. During COVID, I had a client who sold his house in Spring Valley, and he walked away at the closing with like $300,000, but he needed to live there after the closing, so we signed a post-occupancy agreement. And the buyer was insistent. We had to hold back $60,000, a tremendous amount of money, tremendous amount. And the seller agreed to it. And after I think 30 or 60 days, there was a $200 a day penalty. You know, we always build these in to get people out. The man lived in there for about 2 years afterwards. He refused to leave. And he was penniless. I'm like, how are you penniless? You just walked away with a couple $100,000. He had an addiction. I'm not going to say what it is, but that money was gone within a month. And so he was fighting to stay in that house during COVID. And so when we give our clients advice, we always see the nightmares. No one ever comes to a lawyer when everything's going well and just to tell us how wonderful their day is. We're scarred and jarred.
Derek. You're the man.
Oh, thank you so much. We just want to say hi. No, they come to us with their nightmares, with their stories.
Yeah.
So when it comes to escrows and post-closing agreements, these are the kind of stories we tell clients. And I'll never forget that one. 2 years, I ended up having to go to court. Client lied, even said that I had forged the deed. Thank God I had him on recording signing it, but it was an absolute crazy, crazy ordeal. That was a bad one for me. Yeah.
All right. Last question. And a follow-up. Just let the audience know how they can connect with you. So what myths about real estate law do you wish more people understood? Lawyers do nothing. They just collect money.
Well, I think we talked about it, right? I
Charge
think
fees.
when we talk about delays, right? That we're delaying because we're on a beach somewhere and we just don't want to close.
What the hell is taking so long for this damn contract? I want to get the deal in.
If we're delaying something, it's because we're protecting you, right? We're making sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted before we let you close, right? And so I'll have people who yell at me and say, but we need, and I said, but we haven't finished. Municipals are not in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we can close without them. I'm like, absolutely not.
I'm guilty of this.
Right, yeah.
Damn it, I don't need munis. I can close this deal. I don't need your damn survey.
Right.
We're clear to close.
We
Let's get it
complement each
done.
other. We have different parts of the deal. We all complement each other.
And we have to respect our own experts.
Right.
Your expertise.
Right.
It needs to be respected.
Right.
Real estate agents, the same thing. They're like, damn it, let's close.
I know. And listen, again, I just think that people need to understand that what we do, right? So that's a nice conversation to have with your clients. When somebody hires me, I always tell them, let me give you my spiel, but what I'm doing for you and what I'm not, right? Because I'm not your babysitter and I'm not your mama, and right? Because people will sometimes cross the line of the things they ask of us, and we have
like Derek said earlier, you're a therapist. Can I lay on your couch and tell you my problems?
And that's okay. And listen, and sometimes I had a client once where I had to do a wellness check, right? Because it was a divorce and they were in the same house, and I wasn't able to get in touch with her for like 4 days. I'm like, he killed her. He got rid of her.
She's buried in the backyard.
And I did a wellness check, right? Because she told me she was scared. So I did a wellness check, right?
That's good.
But then there's other things that I have to say, no, I can't do that for you. I'm sorry. So.
And how can the audience connect with you or find you, whether it be through social media or just reach out to you if they have questions or, they're looking to connect with you?
Well, we're on social media and we're under Goshen Lawyer.
Okay.
That's how you can find us. We're
Goshen,
still working on our website.
H-E-N.
Goshen Lawer. Y-E-R. Right, Goshen Lawyer. Yep.
Cool.
That's us.
I'm very fortunate. My last name is not Diaz. There are a lot of Diaz's out there. My last name is very easy. It's Rolo, R-O-L-O. The only problem is
there's Rolos out there.
Yeah,
buddy. I know Rolos.
You find my dad. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm Rolo Law, and we are on YouTube. I do have an Instagram, and our website is rololaw.com, obviously.
And lastly, any myths?
Any myths
about real estate law that most people misunderstand?
Oh, everyone thinks it's easy. That's the first thing. That's a total myth.
What do you mean? It's not easy?
So, dude, you can't. I am really 22 years
GPT
old
now.
Grace here.
You throw a contract in through a ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT. And by the way,
what is it? LegalZoom.com? I don't need a damn lawyer.
I don't mind AI because it's going to create more business for lawyers. I actually recently, I know it's a little off topic, but I had clients come in. Father had passed away, and they had a will. This will was not a valid will. They had done it online with AI because they wanted to save $700. It wasn't witnessed. It was just notarized, and no attesting witnesses. So AI is going to create more jobs for lawyers. So definitely don't do a contract on your own. That's one thing. Okay. But the greatest myth is that real estate lawyers don't do much. Yeah. And the reason my clients sometimes think I don't do much, and I have to explain this, I do a lot, is because they don't hear from us that much because there are no problems going to the closing table. So actually, the less you see your lawyer, the better a job they're doing because they're trying to keep your stress level down. The reports came back okay. There's no stress. We're communicating with the lender. That's why you're not seeing us, because we're doing our job. It's the attorneys that you're hearing from, where everything's a constant fire drill. Those are the transactions that where the lawyer's not doing their job. So I guess the common myth is, I'm not hearing from my lawyer. They're not doing their job. Quite the opposite. You're not hearing from them. They're doing their job. Beach. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess that's the one myth, that the real estate lawyer is not doing a lot if you don't hear from them. Quite the opposite.
Got it. Well, Derek, Rolo, Diana, Diaz, thank you for being on the Realist Show. Till the next episode, have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, this be the realest shit you heard in your life.
Welcome to the Realist Show the no-fluff podcast that pulls back the curtain on the real estate industry. Whether you're a seasoned investor, first-time buyer, or a busy real estate agent, this show is your backstage pass to the conversations that matter. Hosted by Kris Diaz, each episode features raw, insightful interviews with real estate attorneys, agents, home inspectors, and other insiders. We're talking real strategies, real stories, and real connections. Because in real estate, relationships and knowledge are everything. Kris Diaz is a senior loan officer with Go Rascal Incorporated. His NMLS number is 742143, and the company's NMLS number is 2072896. He is also a licensed real estate agent with the Olivero team at Keller Williams Realty, first in New York. The opinions of the guests are their own and do not reflect upon any other party.